welcome back to me. Even though it has been an unknown number of weeks since the Miami Grand Prix, I'm here to talk about the Miami Grand Prix and also about the book I read for my little Queering the Calendar series, where I read a queer book from each country that Formula One Grand Prix takes place in, and then I talk about that Grand Prix and I talk about the book. Took me a bit longer to finish it. No fault of the book and all my fault. Not sure if that was grammatically sound at all, but I read Love After the End, which is an anthology, let me get it right, of Two-Spirit and Indigo queer speculative fiction, and it was edited by Joshua Whitehead. And it was really good, but we'll get to that after I've talked about the Grand Prix. Maybe it took me this long to actually accept the reality and actually talk about it, but before I can procrastinate it any longer, let's get into it, and then I can forget it happened and look forward to the Canadian Grand Prix. The Miami Grand Prix obviously took place after like a 5-week break of no Formula One. It was also a sprint weekend. I mostly remember that I did not enjoy any of the results I got. I don't remember what actually happened. Let me jog my memory real quick. Right, I remember why I didn't like it. Sprint quali, Leclerc managed 4th and Hamilton managed 7th, and I hate it here. I thought this Mercedes domination meant that at least Ferrari is second best. Apparently we're not even getting that. Unhappy. I am unhappy about it. The sprint quali result was Norris on pole, Antonelli second, Piastri third, then Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell, and Hamilton. Leclerc got Antonelli, and then Russell got Antonelli as well, or at least they were battling. We had a Verstappen-Hamilton battle. We got Charles Leclerc calling out Kimi Antonelli for being terrible at wheel-to-wheel. I stand with my cancelled wife. I don't know if he actually got a lot of flack for it. I think I saw some mention that he did. I think it's a fair criticism, as someone put it so nicely, considering the fact that, you know, he's been a victim to that several times already. Can't really blame him if we cast our minds back to Zandvoort last year, where he got taken out by Antonelli taking out Max and Spielberg. You know, he's gonna get better. But I don't think it's terrible to say that he's not good at it right now. I'm sorry, this is going to be extremely scrambled. I apologize in advance. Lindblad was supposed to start in 22nd, but didn't start. Albon ended up starting in 18th for deleted lap time, and Hülkenberg did not start at all for an engine issue. I didn't realize until like the 3rd lap that Lindblad hadn't actually started. For some reason, I thought he did. I remember the way Lewis came on the radio and mentioned that Max overtook him off track was like very chill, surprisingly so. I think he had a very chill voice doing that. It just kind of tickled me. And then Verstappen gave the place back, then he overtook Hamilton again, this time without going off track. The sprint race, there were a couple overtakes a bit further back outside of the points, and then Antonelli got a 5-second penalty for track limits. And in the end, we ended up with Norris in 1st, Piastri in 2nd, Leclerc in 3rd. I was happy about that, I will say. Russell 4th, Verstappen 5th, Antonelli 6th, and Hamilton ended up in 7th where he started. We're doing great. Ferrari is doing amazing. Nothing to complain about. Yeah, I did also do like the points at the interim after the sprint race, but before the race. Behrman was still in 7th at that point, which again, good for him. Gasly actually ended up with a point as well during the sprint race, so good for him. Red Bull also managed to overtake Haas in the standings. I don't know if they managed to do that before already, but they have at that point. You know, better late than never. Oh, Bortoleto had his brakes on fire in quali. Not ideal. We got Verstappen, then Leclerc, and then Antonelli on provisional pole, which was very exciting. I just wish Leclerc had stayed there, but you know, that's just me. In the end, it was 5/100th of a second between Leclerc, Verstappen, Norris, and Russell. So 2nd to 5th. And Antonelli actually set it earlier on and then went a second time and abandoned the lap, but he still got it. So that's nice for him. Can you tell I'm not... I need Ferrari to do better. I'm so annoyed. The top 3 for the start was actually really cool. It was Antonelli, then Verstappen, then Leclerc, and then Norris, Russell, Hamilton, Piastri. I had high hopes for this race. They were squashed immediately. Well, not immediately, because right at the start, Leclerc overtook Antonelli on the outside, which was gorgeous. And then the top 3 actually went 3 wide as well. It looked really cool. And then Verstappen got spun. And it was interesting because it looked like it was Leclerc's fault, but I don't think it really was. I don't think he actually turned him. I don't think they zoomed in like exactly what kind of made him like spin, but he also didn't complain on the radio or anything. Verstappen, as a result of the spin, was down to 10th, which I was excited for some cool Verstappen-Leclerc battling, and I got exactly 2 corners. Hülkenberg had to get his front wing replaced. Then Antonelli and Leclerc battled for the race lead. I think Leclerc stayed there, and then Norris overtook Antonelli right before the start of the safety car because of 2 separate incidents where Hadjar, I think he went over the curb and then just couldn't turn in time, if I remember correctly, and went into the wall. But literally, I think a corner before, Gasly got flipped and was in the tyre wall as well. So there was a safety car for both of those, during which Verstappen pitted. This is in lap 7. Lawson was told to retire the car. I think he was the one who collided with Gasly. And then Hülkenberg was also in the garage. What is it? I don't know. And then the safety car ended on lap 11. Norris overtook Leclerc for the race lead in lap 13, and then Antonelli overtook Leclerc overtook him back. Well, anyway, Leclerc and Antonelli battled, and then I think Antonelli ended up on top. Piastri and Leclerc battled. Leclerc then pitted. He also had a slow stop, so he ended up behind Russell. He was not happy with it. He said, and I quote, "Next time you take a decision, please speak with me. I'm here as well." This is fine. We're fine. Everything is well. There was a bit of light rain in lap 25, but nothing really came of it. Verstappen, obviously because he pitted so early for hards, ended up in the race lead because everybody was pitting. Then Antonelli got him for the race lead, and then Antonelli had an issue with his gearbox, apparently. It didn't stop him, in case anyone was wondering. So at this point, I still had hopes that Leclerc was going to get 3rd. The hopes were to be squashed. So in lap 56, which I want to say is the second to last lap, I don't quite remember, Piastri overtook Leclerc for 3rd. And I was like, oh, maybe he can get him back. Maybe he can quickly overtake him again. It'll be fine. And then Leclerc spins and hits the wall, but he gets going again. Very good. However, because of the issues that he got with his car from, smacking into the wall, he then, in the last lap, got overtaken by Russell, and in the last corner, he also got overtaken by Verstappen. And then after the race, he got a 20-second penalty for driving in an unsafe condition. No, that wasn't even the problem. The problem is that he went off track because he couldn't steer his car. So instead of getting 4th, or maybe even battling Piastri for 3rd, he ended up in 8th. This is actually why I'm wearing black right now. I'm in mourning. Do I think that was justified? And maybe I would have complained if any other driver that maybe I don't like as much had done the same thing and gotten away with it? Perhaps. Well, Antonelli got another Grand Prix win. The novelty's worn off. I want someone else to win. I need someone other than a Mercedes or McLaren to win a race. Specifically, I'd like that to be Charles Leclerc. But, I'll take Hamilton. I'll take Verstappen. Anyone. Fucking let Gasly do it. Apparently, the Alpine's functional now. But I needed to not be a Mercedes. I'm not entertained. And then Norris and Piastri got 2nd and 3rd respectively. Good for them, I guess. I wish that they had figured that car out with 3 races to spare rather than 3 races in. But, clearly I don't get what I want. And do I feel like I'm being a petulant child right now? Maybe. Sue me. My favorite driver got a fucking penalty and dropped from 3rd in the second to last lap to fucking 8th. So, I feel like it's okay to be a bit upset about it. However, I'm going to stop ranting about the Miami Grand Prix now. Instead, I'm going to talk to you about Love After the End, which is the book I read for the US. It was a bit of blunder on my part. Well, you know what? I'm going to say it was intentional because, as I said, these are stories written by and about Indigenous people from what we consider to be North America. I've seen the term Turtle Island used instead, which I think is beautiful. Could I have read this for Canada as well? Perhaps. Considering borders are made up anyway, I think this is fine. It's all, stolen land anyway. There are 9 short stories in here. They range from, I think, about 10 pages to 20, so pretty short. And I really enjoyed all of them. Obviously, some of them a bit more, some of them a bit less. The through line, I would say, was a real, love and appreciation for nature and also Earth. There were also references to the moon, which I think I've seen called Grandmother Moon. Some of these stories take place on Earth, sort of more dystopian futures, but also there's the first one actually, that takes place on a space station around the Jupiter moon. Io. Yeah, it's also a very nice range of different characters. There are people in there that have children, that there are people with all sorts of different gender identities. They use different pronouns in different sort of relationships. There's some more sci-fi technology type things going on. Yeah, there's a bit of space travel in some of the stories. It's obviously hard to talk about considering I don't want to spoil any of the stories, but I would really recommend this book, and I do really want to read more from Indigenous authors. Well, there goes my microphone. That's nice. I will keep myself short then for the end and hope the audio isn't absolutely screwed. This was a very short review. I don't really do star reviews publicly. I will say I do have a tendency to give away books that I just kind of enjoyed so-so or that I'm never going to reread. But this is going to be a book I will keep. I also really enjoy the cover. It's really cool. I really enjoyed it. It took me about a bit to read through, but that is not to be seen to the detriment of this book. I would strongly recommend, and I hope if you read it, you enjoy. Please let me know if you've read it, what you thought. And do let me know your thoughts about the Miami Grand Prix as well. If you got as annoyed as me, or maybe something happened that you enjoyed, in which case, happy for you. And I will see you hopefully sooner rather than later to talk about the Canadian Grand Prix. Fingers crossed that I don't need to cool off for 2 weeks before making a video about it. See you soon. Bye bye.